I noticed the library first. Not him, the library. Something shifted in the air the way it does before a storm, that pressurized stillness, that collective inhale. And I looked up from my highlighter and my dog-eared Sociology 301 readings and I thought, earthquake. Not an earthquake. A person had sat down. He took the seat 3 tables from mine, northwest corner, under the bad fluorescent light that flickered every 40 seconds like it was having a small existential crisis. He put down a backpack, pulled out a book, opened it to somewhere in the middle the way people do when they've already been living inside it for days. That was all. That was the whole event. Except it wasn't, because in the 40 seconds after he sat down, I watched a girl at the table closest to him close her laptop, reopen it, and angle the screen 2 degrees in his direction. I watched a guy by the window stand up to stretch and stay standing for 11 seconds longer than any stretch has ever required. I watched the girl with the noise-canceling headphones, the one she had been wearing with the focused, leave-me-alone energy of someone dismantling a bomb, slide 1 cup off her ear. Nobody looked at him directly. They just reorganized. The whole room tilted slightly, the way a ship lists when weight moves to one side. I looked back at my highlighter, yellow. I had been highlighting the same sentence for 4 minutes. I didn't know what it said. His name, I found out later, was Tariq. I found this out the way you find out things in university libraries, which is to say, I eavesdropped on someone else finding it out. A girl named Priya, 3rd-year biology, sat 2 seats from me most Tuesdays, always smelled like vanilla and academic anxiety, leaned over to her friend Damini and whispered it like she was passing classified intelligence. His name is Tariq. He's in the architecture program. He's from Lahore originally. He transferred here in September. Damini whispered back, "How do you know all that?" "Priya," I asked Nate, who asked Sophia who. The information had traveled through at least 4 people before reaching Priya, and Priya had received it like a gift she wasn't sure she deserved. She held it carefully, whispered it carefully, like the name itself required handling. I wrote Tariq in the margin of my sociology notes. Then I felt weird about that and highlighted over it. He read for 2 hours without looking up. In those 2 hours, I watched. And I want to be precise here because I had, by this point, stopped pretending to read my own book and had committed fully to the anthropological observation. I watched 4 separate people prepare to speak to him. The first was a guy in a northwestern hoodie who walked past Tariq's table twice before stopping on the 3rd pass. Between pass 2 and pass 3, he did something with his jaw, a kind of reset, loosened it, practiced casual. "Hey man, is this seat taken?" The seat was not taken. There were 12 other empty seats in the library. The guy sat down anyway, opened a laptop, and then stared at the laptop for the next 20 minutes without typing a single word I could see from my angle. The second was a girl in overalls who approached from the left, got within 4 feet of Tariq's table, and then remembered something urgent in the complete opposite direction. She walked away. Came back 6 minutes later with a water bottle she definitely didn't need, said nothing, sat at a different table, arranged her water bottle with the precision of someone buying time. The third pulled out her phone, switched to front-facing camera, and spent 45 seconds looking at her own face, not fixing anything, just checking, confirming the face was the face she wanted to be wearing. Then she put the phone down and went back to her notes without approaching him at all. The fourth, a tall guy, quiet energy, the kind of person whose name you never learn because they move through spaces without snagging on anything, walked up to Tariq's table and said, very naturally, very smoothly, "You reading Calvino?" Tariq looked up, looked at the book in his own hands like he was confirming this was real, said, "Yeah." The tall guy nodded, walked away. That was it. That was the whole thing he'd been building toward. I put my highlighter down. I started bringing a notebook. Not for class. A different notebook, black cover, unlined pages, the kind I usually reserved for whatever I was pretending to write that semester. I started writing down what I saw, not descriptions of him, descriptions of everyone else. Tuesday, 11 a.m. Library. Girl with red backpack checks her laugh before turning around. Not a real laugh, a preparatory laugh. The laugh she plans to laugh if he says something funny. She's laughing at a joke that hasn't been told yet. Thursday, 2 p.m. Coffee cart outside Harris Hall. Two guys approach together, boulder in pairs. The shorter one does all the talking. The taller one stands with his hands in his pockets doing something with his shoulders, a loosening, a casualification. He is manufacturing ease. Friday, 4 p.m. Steps outside the architecture building. A girl sits one step below him and opens a book. The book is upside down for the first 3 minutes. She flips it without acknowledgement, the way you pretend you didn't just walk into a glass door. The notebook filled up faster than anything I'd ever written for class. Here is what Tariq actually did during all of this. He read. He drank coffee from a thermos silver, dented on one side, the kind of thermos that has lived a whole life. He took notes in a sketchbook with a mechanical pencil, the soft, precise scratching of it audible if you were close enough, which I was, sometimes by accident, which is to say on purpose. He held doors, not performatively. The absent-minded hold 2 fingers on the door's edge without breaking stride, the hold that assumes the person behind you is a person and therefore worth the 2-second delay. He did this for everyone. The janitor, the professor with the rolling cart, the freshman who was clearly lost and too embarrassed to ask. He didn't notice the holding. That was the part. He didn't know he was doing the kind thing because he wasn't doing a kind thing. He was just moving through the world with the default setting of other people exist and are real. It sounds simple. It is apparently extraordinary. The cafe was called Folio. Dark wood, low light. The kind of place that had won too many Edison bulbs and knew it and didn't care. I went there on a Wednesday because Priya mentioned, in the way people mention things about Tariq casually, while staring at the middle distance, that he went there Wednesdays after studio. I told myself I was going for the coffee. I was not going for the coffee. I got there first, took the seat by the window, the one with the chipped table leg that rocked slightly if you leaned on it. Because it had the best sightline and the worst visibility, you could see everything, and anyone looking in from outside would see only the glare of the glass. He came in at 6:17. And I want to tell you about the 4 minutes between 6:17 and 6:21, because those 4 minutes were the most concentrated version of everything I'd been watching for 3 weeks. He walked in. He was wearing a dark green jacket, the collar turned up not stylishly, just he'd been outside and it was cold. He went to the counter, ordered, turned to look for a seat. In those 4 minutes I watched a girl at the counter find a reason to extend her transaction. She had already paid. She was asking questions about oat milk that she did not care about. She was buying time in 30-second increments. A guy at the communal table shifted his jacket off the empty seat beside him, the seat he had been using as a bag holder for the past 40 minutes, and then immediately regret the move and put his notebook on it instead, so it didn't look like an invitation, just an accident of space. 2 girls at the back booth do a thing with their faces, a simultaneous recalibration, a mutual check-in, a silent okay, how are we doing this? And then both pretend to be looking at phones. The barista, college-aged, nose ring, had the energy of someone who had seen everything and felt things about most of it, watched all of this happen, and then looked at me looking at it. We made eye contact. She gave me a look that said, I know, it's every Wednesday. I gave her a look back that said, how do you survive this? She gave me a look that said, honestly, barely. Tarek sat at the small table in the center of the room. Not by the window, not in the back, directly in the middle. The table that feels exposed from all angles. The table everyone avoids, and opened his sketchbook. He drew for 90 minutes. He didn't look up. I drank 2 coffees and wrote 6 pages. November 3rd, folio. The girl who asked about oat milk ordered a black coffee. She is lactose tolerant. I checked her earlier order on the chalkboard menu she had photographed with her phone. This was entirely about proximity. November 3rd continued. The guy with the notebook on the seat eventually moved the notebook. Did not speak to Tarek. Moved it at 7:45 when Tarek showed no signs of needing that seat. Victory declared in private. November 3rd continued further. I have now been here 2 hours and 15 minutes. I ordered a scone I didn't eat. The scone is getting sad. I feel bad about the scone. I should go home. I did not go home. I want to tell you when I first understood what I was actually watching. It was a Thursday. Campus Steps, 3 p.m., the kind of autumn afternoon that Chicago produces twice a year, the light going gold and low, the wind not yet mean, the trees doing their last good work before they gave it up. Tarek was sitting on the upper steps reading. A girl named Chloe, I knew her from a seminar. She talked a lot about Foucault, always had a reusable cup, was standing at the bottom of the steps. She didn't know I was watching. She pulled out her phone, switched to front-facing camera, and I watched her rehearse. Not her appearance, she barely glanced at that. She rehearsed her face, her opening face, the face that would be on when she turned around and if she happened to see him. Oh wow, high face. She tried 3 versions. Version 1, surprise, delight, too much. She saw it herself, pulled back. Version 2, calm recognition, slight smile. Better, she held it, tested how it felt to wear it, decided the smile was a millimeter too wide. Version 3, natural. She practiced looking natural with a mirror on purpose. She put the phone away, took a breath, turned around, said, "Oh hey, Tarek." He looked up, said, "Hey," went back to his book. She climbed the steps and sat 3 steps above him and opened her Foucault. And for the next 20 minutes, I watched her not read, with an intensity that could have powered the whole north side of Chicago. I wrote in my notebook, "We are all auditioning. He is not watching auditions." Then I went home and thought about that for 4 days. The semester end party was on a rooftop in Wicker Park. Nadia's place, her parents owned the building. She had the rooftop access code. She used it once a semester with the generosity of someone who understood that space was a gift and people were worth giving it to. String lights, someone's Bluetooth speaker doing its best, the kind of cold that required a jacket but not misery. I almost didn't go. I almost didn't go because I had been watching Tarek for 2 months and I had not spoken to him once, and I had a full notebook and a cold scone's worth of guilt, and somewhere, in the middle of all that observation, I had started to feel like a person who had lost the plot of their own story. Nadia texted, "Come or I'll describe the whole night to you in voice memos, and you know I will." I went. He was there. Of course he was there. He was standing near the edge of the roof, not at the railing, a few feet back, thoughtful about it, the way he was thoughtful about most things without announcing the thoughtfulness. He had a drink he wasn't really drinking. He was looking at the city. And around him, at a radius of approximately 8 feet, the party was doing the thing. The thing I had been watching for 2 months. The slow reorganization, the tilting of the ship. A group of 3 near the speaker kept finding reasons to migrate toward his side of the roof. A guy I didn't know had been circling the snack table, which was on the opposite end, for 12 minutes, building a plate of chips with the focus of someone writing a dissertation, stealing glances. 2 girls I recognized from the architecture program were standing together talking, but the talking had that quality of we are technically talking, but actually we are waiting. Their bodies angled outward, alert. the conversation a placeholder. I stood at the door to the rooftop stairs and watched all of it. And then I watched myself, because I had my phone out. Front-facing camera. I didn't remember taking it out. I looked at my own face in the screen. The face I was wearing was the face I had prepared on the train ride over. Not consciously, but I had been aware, somewhere below the thinking, of doing the calculation, the hair, the jacket, the earrings I switched twice, the practiced walking into a room energy I had assembled like a small disaster kit. I had been preparing to be seen. I had been preparing, specifically, to be seen by someone who, and this was the part I had filled 2 months of notebook pages to avoid knowing, I had never once let see me. I had watched everyone else rehearse. I had taken notes. I had been rehearsing the whole time. I put the phone in my pocket. I didn't fix anything. I walked across the rooftop. He heard me coming. The roof had that gritty surface that announced footsteps, and turned before I reached him. I said, "Everyone at this party has been trying to talk to you for 2 months, and I've been writing all of it down in a notebook like some kind of deranged field researcher. And I don't have a casual version of this introduction, so that's just what I'm leading with." He looked at me. I looked back. The city made its city sounds below us. A cab horn, someone's music from a window down the block, the particular low frequency of Chicago at night, which is a sound like the city breathing through its teeth. He said, "You have a notebook." 6 pages just from one Wednesday at Folio. He didn't look away. "What did you write?" "Mostly about other people, some about the scone I didn't eat." "The scone. It's a whole thing." He laughed. Not the preparatory laugh. Not the laugh someone rehearses in a front-facing camera. The kind that starts somewhere in the chest and arrives at the face a half-second late, like it surprised him too. He said, "You're the first person this whole semester who just," he stopped, "tried again. Most people come over with this." He did something with his face, a subtle demonstration, a composed arrival, the practiced ease of someone who had done their version of the mirror check. He wore it for 2 seconds and it fit him like borrowed clothes. "I know," I said. "I have documentation." "Can I read it?" "Absolutely not." He laughed again. We stayed at that edge of the roof for an hour and 40 minutes. "I know because Nadia texted me at some point. 'Where did you go? I can't find you.' And I looked at the timestamp when I finally checked my phone on the train home. We talked about Lahore. He told me about his grandmother's house, the specific orange of the bougainvillea on the front wall, the way the afternoon light came through the latticework and made patterns on the floor his grandmother called Jali Kairashan lattice light. He said it in Urdu without translating, and I understood it without asking him to. I told him about my mother's habit of rearranging the furniture every 3 months, how we'd come home from school and the whole house would be different. Same objects, different logic, and she'd be standing in the middle of it with the expression of someone who had solved something. I told him I'd spent years thinking it was anxiety, that recently I'd started thinking it was joy. He said, "Those can be the same thing." I didn't write that down, I just held it. Here is what I want to tell you about that conversation. There was nothing performed in it. Not because we are extraordinary people, or because the rooftop had magic properties, or because the string lights did something to the atmosphere, though they were doing their best. It was because I had walked over without a face prepared. I had arrived as the exact version of myself that existed in that moment, which was tired and slightly embarrassed, and holding 2 months of observations I didn't know what to do with, and I had handed him that version directly, without packaging. And here is the thing about handing someone the unpackaged version of yourself. They can't rehearse a response to it. There's nothing to prepare for. There's no performance to meet with a performance. You've taken the script away from both of you. What's left is just what's actually there. He walked me to the train. At the entrance, he stopped and said, "The notebook." "Still no," I said. "Not even the scone part. Especially not the scone part." He nodded, like this was reasonable. Like a person who had been the subject of 2 months of documented field research declining to share that research was a perfectly normal end to an evening. I went down the stairs. At the bottom, I looked back up, the way you do. He was still standing there. Not performing standing there, just there. The notebook is in my desk drawer. I haven't opened it since that night. Not because it embarrasses me, though it does, a little in the way all evidence of your own self-consciousness embarrasses you when you're on the other side of it. I haven't opened it because I don't need it anymore. I wasn't writing about him. I know that now. I was writing about everyone's terror of being seen as they actually are. The preparatory laugh, the upside-down book, the girl testing 3 versions of her face in a front-facing camera on the steps of a building in the gold afternoon light. I was writing about the performance we put on for the people we most want to be real with. I was writing without knowing I was writing it about myself. The notebook sits in my desk drawer. Black cover, unlined pages. 6 pages from one Wednesday at Folio. A scone that got sad. A full semester of other people's rehearsals, and one night when I finally forgot my lines. I think about what he said sometimes. The first person this whole semester who just... He didn't finish the sentence. I've thought about how it ends. I think it ends, looked at me like I was just a person. But I've also thought it ends, showed up without a costume. Or forgot to be impressive. Or maybe it doesn't end at all. Maybe it trails off because the thing he was trying to name is the thing that doesn't have a word yet. The quality of a moment when 2 people stop auditioning and something true happens in the space that opens up. I don't know what Tariq is doing right now. We texted for a while after that night. The texts had that quality of conversations that know they're significant without making a big deal of it. Easy, a little funny. The kind of exchange where you put your phone down smiling without remembering exactly what was said. Then the semester ended, and we went to our separate summers, and the texting tapered the way things taper. That's fine. That's allowed. Some things don't need to be more than what they were. What it was, one night on a rooftop in Wicker Park, in the city breathing through its teeth, 2 people who forgot to perform. I still catch myself sometimes. Front-facing camera, a prepared face, a laugh I've preloaded for a joke that hasn't arrived yet. I catch myself. And then I think about a girl on some steps in October, testing 3 versions of her own face, trying to find the natural one, not understanding that natural is the one thing you cannot manufacture in a mirror. I put my phone away. I walk in wearing whatever face I actually have. It is every time the most terrifying thing I do all day. It is every time the only one that works.